Trump's back on Twitter, a sign of some desperation on his part, trying to recapture the magic from 2 election cycles ago, because this guy's basically been running for president for nearly a decade at this point. It's his 3rd presidential campaign, God help us all. And, he ran in 2016 in the primary criticizing the Iraq War. He went after Jeb Bush on the Iraq War and his family's complicity in one of the great crimes of the 21st century, and talked about how he was an anti-war candidate. I mean, that's been some of the posture of the Republicans because they're against sending money to Ukraine, at least aesthetically, although we know that they have deep connections to the military-industrial complex and to weapons manufacturers that very much enjoy selling weapons whenever they can. So I have my doubts about the sincerity of that. It's just more like, hey, base, you love Putin as a strong man. I'm a strong man. So, I'm anti-war in this instance. Don't ask me about Israel, though, and the genocide that they're committing in Gaza. Then I don't really have too much except for Trump to say, finish the job or whatever the hell he talks about. And you could just follow the money in that instance. Trump is raking in money from the most right-wing pro-Israel donors in the country at this moment. So I just feel like this dude's lost it. Like, he is now running away from some of those paleo things too as well, and the message doesn't make any sense. This is apparently the anti-war candidate in the race, and the ad that he just put out on social media.
Before thousands were brutally killed, including Americans. Before Iran helped Hamas plan the attack, killing Americans.
Says the New York Post.
Can you pause it? I'm sorry. Can you... The New York Post, the day after October 7th, claimed Iran planned the Hamas attack. They're using that headline. In the weeks following, it was, I think, every paper. Well, it was the Journal that had to walk it back to. This didn't happen. Okay, keep going.
Americans. Before Biden gave billions of taxpayers' money to Iran.
No.
Trump played hardball with Iran. Destroyed ISIS. Kept the Middle East at peace. Kept us out of endless wars through strength.
History shows very plainly that evil only respects one thing: unyielding strength. When I'm back in the White House, our enemies will know if you spill a drop of American blood, we will spill a gallon of yours.
President Trump, the strength we need to make America strong again.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I like him making Melania black and white in that, too. He's the only person that gets to be in color. Yeah, I mean, look, it is... peace through strength is not a thing. That's just something that right-wing people use to justify as much blood as they can spill. Biden, his support for genocide is a huge mar on his legacy, but he did before this drastically reduce the number of drone strikes that the United States was engaged in, which was a very welcome development, and did withdraw from Afghanistan. The problem for Biden is that, his approval rating did take a dip after the withdrawal of Afghanistan, that he never really recovered from. Now, I think that this is a causal connection that the right is making that is not true. To remind people,
Trump could have got them out himself, but he pushed it off to the next administration.
Exactly right. So Trump did this on purpose. So he struck a deal with the Taliban in February of 2020. It was a deal that progressed over 14 months. And that was, basically exactly, give or take a few months after that, 16 months later, that Biden, after he got elected, ended up withdrawing from Afghanistan. But it was like this basically deal that Trump did with them that said, we'll get out of Afghanistan in 14 months, and you just hold off on your attacks during that time period, and we will withdraw and we'll basically hand power over to you. And the puppet government collapsed, and it was chaotic. And Trump was able to pin that on Biden. So he sees this as a win for himself in the negotiation that he did because he left a mess for his predecessor on purpose. And Biden said, like, screw it. We've been here for way too long. I'm not going to fall into this trap and elongate it, because each president kept kicking the can down the road because they were worried about the blowback for them politically. I think a lot of other presidents could have recovered from this. But the problem for Biden is that COVID, the stimulus had expired at this point. Negotiations for Build Back Better were in their most, I think, at this period, like Manchin-y time frame, where the Manchin and Sinema were just taking a hatchet to the promises of Build Back Better. The child tax credit, expanded child tax credit, started to expire as well. And this is where Biden's age has salience, right? Because people, when they say he's too old, for the most part, yes, they mean he's too old, but it's because they want the vision of a strong leader or somebody who can be commander in chief. That's why Harris was running on, like, we'll have the strongest fighting force, or in her speech at the DNC, we'll have the strongest fighting force in the world, and I'll be tough as a prosecutor and on the border and all that stuff, because there is a segment of the American population that just wants to know that, like, the commander in chief is commanding. And the things starting to fall apart here for Biden, he didn't have a organic popular support, really. He was basking in the Obama glow. That's in part why he got elected in the first place. And so when that looked like a weak moment for Biden, everything kind of fell apart and he was unable to recover because of what the image looked like for his leadership. Now, on to the Trump strategy on this front. Do I think that running on a foreign policy decision from 3 years ago and trying to tie it to Harris, even though it was Biden that made that choice, and he sidelined Harris and saddled her with a lot of the things that he didn't even want to deal with, like, the immigration stuff, honestly, purposefully a little bit. Do I think that this is going to work? That he's going to be able to use the Afghanistan withdrawal against Kamala Harris in this race? I do not. I do not think it's going to be effective. J.D. Vance was all over Sunday shows talking about, these are the people that want to put masks. We're pro-family. They're anti-family. They want to mask your kids in school. It's like, these are the issues from 3 years ago. Do they have nothing new to run on? Nothing more salient. I mean, it's just incredible, because Biden was rambling all over the place about NATO, and people were begging him, like, can you talk about something relevant to Americans in the here and now? And he was unable to do so. He dropped out. Harris has run a very effective campaign, and Trump is now the guy, the old man, ranting and raving on social media about foreign policy when no one cares. And so, I don't know. I find this to be a really fascinating development, and a desperate one. So he's at Arlington today, trying to use this against Biden / Harris. But again, he's having trouble pivoting to Harris. And it's been weeks at this point. He's going with Comrade Kamala and Tampon Tim. Have you heard anybody else refer to them as that? Unless it's just your, QAnon uncle on Facebook. Back in the day, Trump used to have this branding down. Little Marco, Crooked Hillary. We can remember these. Well, Low Energy Jeb. This is just stuff that he knew. He had his finger on the pulse of this kind of stuff, and now he's running as like a standard neocon about going to war with Iran.
Right. Well, I mean, also like standard neocon combined with like grumpy Fox News grandpa who also like used to be able to get off the recliner but can't anymore.
Right.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.